Well, thanks. I'm Will, and I'm interested in machine learning. I'm also interested in sort of the macro level trends around how machine learning and analytics are being adopted and integrated into traditional companies and how that's being used. One lens on these trends are through the work of Tom Davenport, so that's kind of what I'm going to draw on here. Co-authored a book on competing on analytics. He also co-founded a group called the International Institute for Analytics, IIA. They're actually based here in Portland and have a lot of good resources on this kind of level of what's going on in terms of analytics and machine learning. So if your machine learning adventure takes you into kind of the leadership and organization realm, these might be good folks to keep in mind. But back to the kind of the trends, Davenport's articulated these sort of four trends over the last 10 years. So I think that kind of pace of change is interesting in terms of how big these sort of shifts have been. If they don't feel that big in a way, one thing to kind of think about though is that sometimes some of those futures are rather not as categorical as we might expect them to be. Do I need a mic?
You have no mic.
Oh. Was I projecting all right?
Oh, boy. Okay. I thought he had the headset. Sorry, my bad on that.
All right. Whoa. There I am. So Analytics 1.0, this is sort of traditional analytics, was sort of a big call out to traditional companies and organizations to make this move up from descriptive analytics to the predictive and prescriptive, kind of more advanced leveraging of analytics. And not really, I didn't really hear much of the machine learning perspective in kind of this advancement, more of the econometric and operational research types of things. But meanwhile, the digital natives were rocking the machine learning, and they were really taking on big data, hearing these sort of data science roles, and focusing on data products versus this sort of decision support that was sort of more characteristic of that 1.0 level. And so these kind of concepts of data science for machines versus data science for people. And so instead of handing over a report, it's kind of adding into your next step of your app and so on. The Analytics 3.0 is kind of a catch-up then, because the folks who were working on 1.0 saw what the digital natives were doing in 2.0 and said, well, we got to get that too. And so now they're trying to integrate that across their organization as well. And this sort of operational analytics was a phrase coined to kind of describe this stage. But like time, machine learning moves on, and we kind of entered in the era of the cognitive neural net types of methods that we're kind of hearing a lot about now. And so again, I think this is sort of being led by those sort of digital natives and kind of advanced kind of traditional organizations. We're seeing these sort of, again, more embedded analytics and a much more kind of a stronger place for kind of seeing the machine learning component kind of really taking over in a way. So some of my kind of takeaways on this and some of the things that are kind of coming out in the literature too is just sort of how these capabilities really build on each other. The things that you do in 1.0 give you the platform to move up that realm. And the other thing is that these sort of capabilities persist. So you really, the things that you do to get your data and leadership and people in order in the 1.0, you kind of have to maintain that as you're kind of going up these realms if you're kind of thinking about this in terms of coming from a traditional organization like I do in higher ed. The other piece is kind of thinking about what this means in terms of the takeaway of sort of the fundamentals. And we've been hearing about that a lot at this conference as well, but kind of thinking about what your institutional mission is and how that creates this sort of foundation in terms of leadership, privacy, security, governance, inclusion, and people for taking on this kind of a journey and trying to leverage all of these different levels here. So coming from the type of organization I'm at, I feel like I'm really at analytics, maybe 0.5, maybe 0.25, but kind of thinking about what kind of things we could do now to set a good foundation for that future is what's exciting, and conferences like this help make that happen. Thanks.
Awesome.